Well, fall is prime time for pumpkins and apples, and it may not look like fall right now, but researchers here at the University of Minnesota's quest to find the next best apple variety, it never stops. And we have that work to thank for a very popular apple variety today.
The other advantage in those small
Delightful apples that are both appealing and delicious. That's exactly what you'll find at the University of Minnesota this time of year.
Our whole goal in all of this is to give the consumer an exceptional eating experience. Not an okay eating experience, not even a maybe okay eating experience, but there better be some wow in it somewhere.
It's a product of more than 115 years of work and research.
When the program first began, even back in the 1800s, it was all in response to the fact that our winters are so severe that apples could not be grown here.
But in the late 1800s, growers demanded change.
A group of would-be apple farmers went to the state legislature, asked to have funding for a program for the University of Minnesota, and that's when we were born.
In the 115 years since, the end game is no longer just survival, but now it's also taste.
It didn't matter how good the apple was, how pretty it was, how big it was. If it wouldn't survive the winters, it didn't count. That has not gone away, but our genetics have evolved to the point that we don't have to worry about it every single cross. We've really broken through, I think, in the world of what texture can be in apples.
One of the most famous apple varieties born out of this research here is one that is known around the globe.
The one that probably moved us to the forefront locally, nationally, and internationally was Honeycrisp. And that really broke new ground. We introduced that in 1991.
Bedford says the Honeycrisp apple took 31 years to create. That's from breeding until they introduced it commercially. But then it took decades longer to take the apple industry by storm.
Honeycrisp, which we might think of as a fairly recent variety, it is 61 years old now. So when you put that in perspective, you realize that apple breeding is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
So what makes the Honeycrisp so unique? Well, the name says it all.
When you bite into an apple like a Honeycrisp, it cracks in your mouth. The juice flows. You almost need to hang over a sink or something, maybe have a towel nearby. It's an explosion in your mouth. And that now has set the bar for that term, at least for us.
At any given time, the apple breeding program here at the University of Minnesota has 20,000 to 25,000 apple trees in various stages of evaluation. From a breeding program that's quite robust.
We produce about 4,000 to 5,000 new trees a year. And each one of those trees comes from a specific cross that we have these goals for.
Bedford says it's all about producing the best apples possible. The team taps into conventional breeding, choosing a tree to designate as the female tree.
It's a matter of sexual reproduction. And before the flowers open, we'll choose limbs on that female tree that we're going to use. Before those flowers open in the spring, we'll cover those with a paper bag. And the reason for that is that when those flowers open, we want to make sure that the bees don't visit them.
Once the flowers open up inside the bag, the team then takes pollen from the tree they've designated as the male parent and dabs it onto the female flowers.
And if all goes well, those flowers that we fertilized will fertilize the ovary, and that will become apples inside there. Those seeds will have characteristics from each parent, just like our children have characteristics from us.
Decades of work and more taste tests than even Bedford can count.
It's 1 in 10,000 trees that make it through. In order to get to that 1 in 10,000 trees, we have to taste thousands of bad apples to get there. And in fact, every day when we're at the peak of the season, we have to taste about 500 apples a day. Now that probably sounds like fun to some people, but let me tell you, after the first 100, it's not fun. And in fact, most of them are not very good.
But in the end, the goal is to create an unforgettable experience and to make sure there truly are no bad apples in the bunch. I have to admit, our family is definitely fans of the Honeycrisp, and I have a whole new appreciation for all apple varieties after that. Well, that does it for this weekend's U.S. Farm Report, Beck's College Roadshow from the University of Minnesota. We will wrap up our College Roadshow next week as we jet off to the University of Illinois. Thanks for watching this weekend, and we hope that you tune in next weekend as we work to build on our tradition. Have a great weekend, everyone.